Hi guys, and welcome to some more testing with me, Mars, and today we're going to be looking at bullet ballistics and also ammo variations. And the reason why is because we've got a lot of different ammo variations available to us in our upcoming mod pack, and when I was looking I couldn't find a great deal of explanation or data on how well these bullets work, you know, in what environment and kind of what they do. So I decided I'll get some hands-on, you know, experience for myself, really, do my own tests and see what they're about in a kind of real-world virtual environment. So today we're going to be using this weapon. This is the M4A1 PIP AFG, which is the Post-Improvement Program Angle Force Grip version of the M4A1 from Red Hammer Studios, and it's got the M68 CCO sights on here as well. And the reason why is because this is basically the weapon that we're planning on using for Gambler, our ground forces for reality gaming. So I wanted to give it a try with this. And we're going to be using 6 different ammo types today. 3 of them are Red Hammer Studios, and 3 of them are HLC weapons. So we're going to be using the M8551A EPR, the Mk216 Mod 1 SPR, and the Mk318 Mod 0 SOT. All 3 of those are from Red Hammer Studios. And then we're using the 3 of the STANG Mags from HLC, which is the EPR, the SOST, and the SPR round. So give us a bit of variation, and we'll see what they do. So let me jump in. Let me just, if you haven't seen what these bullet traces do, I'll just give you a quick explanation. So if I just fire off a round with a pistol, you can see what it does. It basically traces the round. So what you get here is the ballistic arc of the projectile fired from the gun. Very cool. So it shows you the flight, it shows you it losing power, getting gravitational forces, and then dropping down back to Earth again. So it's the ballistic arc of the projectile fired, and the color coding is the energy from it as well. So this red line here shows you that the bullet has got 75% energy or more. The yellow line there is from 50 to 75%, and then the green line is 25 to 50%, and then the blue line there is 10%. So you can see it losing its energy as it progresses in its flight. So that's basically what the tracers do. So we're going to be doing 3 tests today. Clear those lines off. We're going to be doing a penetration test, a damage test, and a range test of all these ammos. So let's crack on. Let's get this first one out. If I grab my rifle again, and we'll start off with the Red Hammer Studios stuff. And let's start off with the 8551A EPR round. And what I'm going to do is back myself right up against this wall and put a single round through. Let's see what happens. There we go. So you can see the penetration going through here. You can see the red line. It's penetrated through this, and then it changes to a blue line here. So what's happening is it's penetrated through these first 4, 1, 2, 3. Well, it's penetrated through these first 3 as red, and it's penetrated through this one just about in the red power band, but it's lost a lot of power through here. It's actually dropped from the 75 to the 10% power band. So you can see it's lost a lot of energy on this last wooden wall here. And you can also see that it's deflected slightly as well. So you can see it's penetrated through, it's deflected, and then it's stopped on this one. It hasn't actually managed to penetrate it through this last wall here. So if we move on to the 262s, and again you can see it penetrating through, but you can see it's actually lost a lot more power than the first one. So it hasn't reached this 4th wall here in the red power band. It's actually dropped down to the green here, so it's lost a lot of energy through this section here from hitting this wall. It's gone through, it's a green, and then it's lost all its energy, and it's just about tumbled into this last one, but it's pretty much no energy left on there at all by the time it's hit this last one. So you can actually see it's penetrated slightly worse than the last one. So the 85518 EPR round has got better penetration than this Mk212 Mod 1 SPR. So we'll try the 318. And again, you can see it penetrating all the way through, and actually it's taken a really big deflection on this wall here. It's gone from the red into the blue. It's taken a big deflection, and in fact it's actually taken it off its line out to the side there. So because it's taken that deflection, let's clear the lines. Let's do it again, because I want to see it going through as many walls as I can. Okay, so this one hasn't deflected, but it's pretty much got the same penetration. So it's gone through 1, 2, 3, 4. It's into the blue here, and then it's stopped on this one, so it's not penetrated this one. This one's not deflected on there, but the penetration is the same. And I'm putting this all onto a spreadsheet. I'll link the spreadsheet so you'll be able to see all these figures and how they've penetrated. So I'm not going to keep all the lines on there. You can actually go and compare them for yourselves. So if I clear these lines, we'll move on to the HLC mags. So we'll start off with the EPRs. So this is the STANG Mag EPR. Single round. And you know, first thing to notice is so much more penetration on here. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these walls it's gone through. It's come to rest on the 7. It's gone through 5 of them in the red power band here. So it's gone through 5 of them, keeping above 75% of its initial velocity. It's lost a lot here, and then when it's finally lost, you know, the last bit of energy, it's come to a fairly abrupt stop. But it's clear to see that this has actually got a lot more penetrating power than anything else we've come up to yet. So we'll go for the SOST rounds. And again, it's got decent penetration. It's gone through 4 on the red, it's dropped down to the green here on the 5th, and it's come to a stop on the 6th. Again, on the 6th, it's pretty much got absolutely no power left. That's what these this white line is here. It's pretty much just a tumbling bullet by that point. It's not going to do any damage at that point. So you can see it's got a lot less penetration than the EPR, and it's come to a stop earlier than the EPR as well. And it's worth noting that what this means really is that these penetrating rounds, it just means it's not transferring its energy into this material. It's passing through this material, keeping most of its energy. The ones that penetrate less are the ones that are transferring energy faster to whatever material they're going through. So have a look at the last one, which is the SPR round. And I think you can again see fairly quickly that this is stopped very, very abruptly. It's only managed to pass through 3. It's been stopped on the 4. There's a slight deflection here as well, where you can see that that blue line's deflected, and then it's stopped on this one. So it's got very, very little penetrating power. This one, it's not gone very far. If you can compare that to, you know, the EPR round that's gone almost twice the distance, and it kept its you know, red power band for almost twice as long through that material as well. So we can see that the EPR, the STANG EPR, has the best penetration, and the STANG SPR has the worst penetration. Like I say, I'll stick all these on a spreadsheet anyway, so you can have a look at them. Interesting to see. We'll move on to the next one. This is going to be the damage output, and I'm using these guys here as my little test subjects. They don't seem to mind too much. They might do in a minute. So the first one is a fully armoured version. So he has got the special rig on because it's got the maximum amount of plating. So they've got the best armour. And then the second one is just unarmoured. So we'll do the same again. And we're going to go from this line here, and we'll go in the same order. So we'll start with the 85518 EPR. And it's worth noting on these that I've tested this quite a lot, and it doesn't really matter at this distance where you stand, so a few inches forward, a few inches back makes very little difference on the actual damage output. It's within a few, you know, hundredths of a point of where it's supposed to be. So considering the variation damage output, you know, if I'm a few inches forward or back of this line, it makes no difference. So we'll start on this first one, and you can see in the bottom left hand corner there we get a damage output of 0.380, and he's gonna heal himself. And in the top you can see the parts hit as well. So we'll go for the next one. You can see he's taken 0.507 damage, and he is dead by the looks of it. So I've recorded all these numbers again. They're in the spreadsheet, so you can have a look. But we'll pop down them. So we'll go for the 262. And you can see it's very much the same result, although the 262 has actually put out, you know, a decent amount of damage more. 318s. Again, a fairly sort of mid-range damage, 0.42, 0.57. Let's have a look at the EPRs. .32 and 0.43. So it's actually quite a lot less damage in these EPRs when you hit these models than some of the other ones. In fact, these EPRs have the lowest damage output of the lot. Let's have a look at the SOSTs. .42, 0.56. And lastly, the SPR rounds. .60, 0.80. So you can see these SPR rounds actually put out the most damage of any of them. This guy here, he looks like he might be okay, probably unconscious, but he's taken more damage than anyone else. Let's just clear those lines off. So you can see he's taken more damage than anyone else, and it's clear in the spreadsheet that that's the case. The SPR rounds have the best damage output of all the ammunition at this range, and then the EPR rounds have the worst damage output. And that would kind of make sense when you think about the bullet penetrations. There is a correlation between bullet penetration and damage output. So the ones with the best penetration through test number 1 have the worst damage output, and that would make sense because they are not transferring their energy to the target efficiently. They're penetrating through, whereas the ones with the worst penetration are the ones which are basically transferring the most amount of energy from the projectile to the target, so they give you the best damage output, which is why you see these SPR rounds here which have taken these guys out. So we'll move on. We're going to have a look at the range testing, and just have a quick a test of that as well. So we'll go in the same order again. So we'll start with the 8551As. And we'll go down the line and we'll do them all from here. So that's the 551s. Let's try the 262s. .318s. The EPRs. SOSTs. And finally the SPRs. There we go. So we've got all the bullets on their ballistic arcs. They look fairly similar from here. Let's just jump into the camera mode and have a quick look. So I think the first thing to notice very quickly is the difference in this first power band, this first range. So you can see here the line that's furthest away is the 8551A, then this is the 212, and then the 318. And these three here, these Red Hammer Studios ones, have much better range than the other ones. And what I mean by range is, it means this red power band, when they're above 75% of their initial velocity and energy, is far longer than these ones here. So this is the EPR, this is the SOST, and this is the SPR. And if you have a look, especially with say this 212 here, this red power band is easily twice as long as the SOST mag. It's probably even twice as long as the SPR red power band there as well. And if you have a quick look up here, in fact, its energy here, this is the 212 again, its energy here, just as it drops below 75%, you can see that the SOST one is just about to drop below 50%. So it keeps its power for a lot longer in this red power band, whereas these HLC mags, they drop their power a lot quicker. So they drop from the red to the yellow to the green a lot quicker. And if we pop up the other end and have a look at that as well, it's kind of the same story up here. So you see that these first three Red Hammer Studios, this is the 8551A, the 212, and the 318. They stay in their green a lot longer. In fact, these other three here, this is the EPR, SOST, and the SPR. They've actually dropped, completely. They're disappearing, whereas these ones are still in their green power band and then into the blue. And it shows on the accuracy as well. They're a lot more accurate at that long range. So they've got a shallower curve all the way up to here, whereas these ones have dropped right off at this range. So these first three have much better range. They hold their power longer as they come up through, and they fall off a lot slower than these STANG mags do here. Very interesting. So if we pop back, we'll have a quick look and a quick comparison. It's very clear to see that all these ammunition types, they all have very different uses. And I will, like I say, I'm going to put the link for the document in the description so you can have a look. But if you have a look at the two different variations, you can see some sort of trend. So you've got the 6 ammunition types, but the Red Hammer Studios, they're all quite long range versions, whereas the HLC ones are quite short range versions. So with the Red Hammer Studios, you've got the Mk212, which is kind of a long range, high damage, medium penetration bullet, and the 318, which again is a long range. It's got less damage, but it's got better penetration. So one of them is a higher damage, lower penetration. The other one is a lower damage, higher penetration. And then there's the M8551A EPR round, which is basically like a all-purpose round. So it's a long-range, all-purpose round. It's got low damage, it's got medium penetration, and it's got kind of that long sound kind of range with it as well. So it doesn't excel at any one area, but it does both pretty well. And then on the flip side of that, you've got the STANG mags from HLC. So you've got the EPR, which is a short range, very low damage, but very high penetration. We saw it go, through these a long way. So if you're looking for killing targets in cover or in buildings behind walls, the EPR round is the way to go, because it's going to penetrate through. It's going to hold its power as it goes through the wall, and it's still going to hit its target. And on the flip side of that, again, you've got the SPR rounds, and these are the ones that are, again, they're short range, very high damage. We saw them here, very high damage, killing these last two, or heavily wounding these last two, but they've got almost no penetration. So if you're targeting enemy in cover or in buildings, or you want to shoot someone through the wall, they're going to lose a lot of their power by the time the bullet's gone through the wall. And then you've got the SOSTs, which are a kind of short range, multi-purpose variety as well. So they've got decent penetration, decent damage. They're still short range. Again, they're okay at both. They don't excel in either one area. So really interesting on this ammo stuff. Like I say, there's 6 different versions. They all do very different things, but they do kind of fit into this long range, short range category. And then the long range and short range categories can further be broken down into: do you want high penetration, do you want high damage output, or do you want some sort of, you know, combination trade-off between the two? Anyway, that's it for me. I guess there can be more discussions on this bullets, but thanks for watching, and see you next time.